New developments in the case of two former sheriff deputies accused of stealing and selling drugs.
I'm Kristen Price in Hawaii, where it looks beautiful, but don't let this weather fool you. A tropical storm is headed straight for the islands. A car fire spread into several acres of flames at Dejir Canyon. How firefighters have been battling the blaze.
Good evening to you. Thanks for being with us here at 5 o'clock. I'm Jim Scott.
I'm Tammy Melchuk. We begin tonight with a rapid response to a brush fire at the base of the Grapevine. Shortly before noon, a vehicle fire grew into a 50-acre blaze. 17's Karen Hua is live at Dejir Canyon with the latest on what's being called the water fire. Karen?
Good evening, everyone. 6 hours after the fire started, you can still see the smoke and remnants of retardant behind me. Kern County Fire Department last said the fire is 5% contained, but firefighters are being released. The evacuation has been lifted, and it all started around 11:40 this morning. A van caught fire while driving down southbound I-5, and when it pulled over, the flames spread to the vegetation nearby.
At this point, it's not clear what started the fire in the van, but when the van pulled over to safely exit the occupants, the fire did spread to the nearby grass.
You can continue to see it growing up and over the hill, but it's just, it's starting to be contained. It's looking a lot better than it was.
Along with KCFD, KCSO, LA County Fire, and several other local agencies responded quickly. KCFD said the fire was exacerbated by strong winds, and the steep terrain has made it difficult to work on. KCFD also reported one firefighter was injured while on ground operation. He's been airlifted to a Bakersfield hospital. Now, the recommended evacuation of the area has been lifted, and all lanes on southbound I-5 have been open again. But please still proceed with caution when you're driving around this area. We'll have all the latest updates for you again at 6 and tonight at 11. Reporting live at Dejir Canyon, Karen Hua, 17 News.
And the winds were a concern around fire time earlier this afternoon. Now tonight we are looking here at a picture taken as that plume of smoke continued near the Grapevine. Also another view here from the roadway. So yes, that fire from a car or vehicle rather, and then it just made its way up the mountain. So winds out of the northwest 15 to 20 miles per hour spread that fire fairly quickly, and now winds have since calmed down a little bit within the past hour. Near Frazier Park, not really seeing any smoke on the weather cam. Meanwhile, we still have some strong winds out into eastern Kern County. They were over here near the base of the Grapevine at 20 miles per hour out of the north and west. Now looking at 30-mile-per-hour winds out into the desert. Temperature-wise, well, guess what? We crept back up into those 80s, lower 90s this afternoon. Looking then at 81 still in Lake Isabella, 75 in Tehachapi, 77 in Frazier Park, 91 in Bakersfield, 89 in Buttonwillow, 88 in Wasco. Into tonight, 69 degrees at 11. Tomorrow morning, 62, and at noon, 77. How about the mountains? Well, still a little breezy out there near the Kern River Valley area. Temperatures tonight in the 50s, and then tomorrow, 72 at noon. Much more on that and the latest on the hurricanes and pinpoint weather.
All right, Alyssa, thank you. A sobering reminder tonight that our triple-digit heat here in the valley can have deadly consequences. We're learning tonight about the heat-related death of a Bakersfield man back in August. The coroner is reporting that 23-year-old Rene Mahano was found unresponsive on August 3rd on the corner of Brundage Lane and V Street. He was taken to Adventist Health's emergency room and later pronounced dead. The coroner says Mahano overheated and died of complications from hyperthermia. According to the National Weather Service, the high temperature that day was 102 degrees. The Centers for Disease Control has guidelines on how to recognize heat sickness. You can find that information on our website at kget.com.
Two former Kern County Sheriff's deputies facing numerous felony charges and serious prison time could soon be headed home. This after Sheriff Donnie Youngblood and DA Lisa Green announced Logan August and Derek Penny stole over 350 pounds of marijuana while wearing the badge. The men's attorneys have fought to get them back home while they wait to stand trial. 17's Olivia LaVoice was at a bail hearing today and joins us now with more. Olivia?
Well, Tammy, Derek Penny's portion of the hearing was quick and easy. Prosecutor Garrett Rice simply explained he'd been provided proof that Penny's family would be providing the funds for the bond, and that was that. But when it came to Logan August, it was a bit of a different story. Now again today, family of both men packed the courtroom to capacity. Many in the audience were tearful as Logan August's attorney, David Torres, pleaded with Judge Gerald Turner to lower the bail. Torres said the former deputy has quite a bit of debt now and can't afford his $285,000 bail. Torres spoke of August's character, saying he mentors others through the church, is a devout Christian and devoted to his family, and wants to be there to support his family, especially his young children. The judge said, considering all the facts, he doesn't feel August is a threat to the public safety, and he doesn't consider him at flight risk. Torres asked the judge to waive bail completely or set it no higher than $50,000. The judge didn't do that, but he did lower it from $285,000 to $100,000. Now, according to the Tulare County Jail's website, Penny and August are both out of custody. They have their next court appearance on November 28th. In studio, I'm Olivia LaVoice, 17 News.
Olivia, thanks. Well, one was wanted for more than half a year. The other named a suspect in a 5-year-old's murder. Bakersfield police say they arrested 2 members of the West Side Crips during a traffic stop yesterday. Tommy Thomas and Jonathan Knight. Thomas has been wanted since the large gang crackdown in Bakersfield back in December. Knight was initially arrested during the sweep. We first reported in December that a warrant names Knight as a suspect in the shooting of 5-year-old Kason Guyton. He has not been charged in that case. Yesterday's arrest was for a parole violation. The department says Knight remains one of several persons of interest in the Guyton murder case. Anyone with information should call Detective Keegan Gavin at 326-3557.
17 court watch now, and the fate of the man accused of killing a prominent grape grower in Delano is now in the hands of a jury. 25-year-old Mariano Fernandez Perez is on trial for the murder of Yakov Dulcich. Dulcich was the founder of a number of local businesses, including Pretty Lady Vineyards and Dulcich & Sons Incorporated. Investigators say Perez fired into Dulcich's vehicle on a roadway near Delano. Court documents say that Perez has given no possible motive behind the killing and denied having a reason to kill Dulcich. His charges include first-degree murder. And the murder case against a former Tehachapi corrections officer was also turned over to the jury this week. Rigoberto Sanchez is accused of shooting Edwin Lima last year at his estranged wife's apartment. All 3 worked at Tehachapi Prison. Sanchez's attorney argues Lima pointed his own gun at his client and that Sanchez shot Lima in self-defense. But Lima's estranged wife, Sandra, testified that Lima never had a chance to draw the gun. Sanchez is charged with first-degree murder.
The Kern County Detention Officers Association is offering counseling services after losing one of their own this morning. There's no details about the loss, but we are told the counseling is happening at the Lerdo Justice Facility tonight at 7 p.m. and again Saturday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. There's also a crisis hotline officers can call. That number is 1-800-991-5272. In just under an hour, the Bakersfield Police Department will hold a meeting to talk about all things ShotSpotter. You've heard us talk about ShotSpotter over the past several months. The system alerts police to gunfire and tells them where the shots came from. This helps police respond more quickly to shootings in central Bakersfield. Tonight, officials say they will take any questions you have about how the technology is working so far since it went into effect in March. The meeting is from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the MLK Community Center on South Owens and East 10th Streets.
Other news this hour, 2 people hospitalized tonight following an explosion at a chemical plant in North Bakersfield this morning. According to fire officials, a 55-gallon drum of flammable fluid exploded inside a building at the Newsill Chemical Processing Plant. That plant sits in the 2300 block of Pegasus Drive. The 2 injured employees were rushed to the hospital. Others evacuated while fire and hazmat crews handled the situation. Fire officials say this is a good reminder for employers to make sure they have an evacuation plan in place for employees to follow and routinely practice evacuation protocols in case there is an emergency.
A warning tonight about a Bakersfield business accused of ripping people off around the country. The Better Business Bureau says it received several complaints about Calmini. The company's website says it's been selling auto parts since 1987 and has a warehouse on McDivitt Drive. The Bureau says in the last 2 years, Calmini racked up 80 consumer complaints nationwide with reports of orders that never shipped, and they denied refunds after. Owner Steve Kramer denies the accusations.
And for you entrepreneurs out there, still time to take part in tonight's Bakersfield Business Expo. The annual event is being held by the Greater Bakersfield Chamber of Commerce. There are dozens of exhibitors on hand and opportunities for networking. The Business Expo started at 4. It ends tonight at 7 at the DoubleTree by Hilton. Admission is free, and you can download your coupon on the Chamber's website, bakersfieldchamber.org. We'll have more on the Bakersfield Business Expo tonight on 17 News at 11.
Adventist Health wants to restock pantries rather than medicine cabinets. Tomorrow, the hospital is holding a farmers market featuring fresh and healthy food, including packed meals and produce. It's from 4:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at Adventist Health Bakersfield on Chester Avenue.
Illegal drugs, cell phones, contraband dropped from the sky. Drone technology is proving to be a prison inmate's new link to the outside world. Now a move to stop drone deliveries at state prisons, but enforcing it may be a challenge. We'll show you why tonight on 17 News at 6, and still ahead here at 5.
It's all a blessing. We're angels. Everyone's got an angel, and it was just the right time for us to be there.
A late-night snack run turns into a rescue mission for this father and son. We have that story new at 5:30.
And up next, the island of Maui taking one on the chin from tropical storm Olivia. Our Kristen Price is there. She'll have the latest when 17 News at 5 continues.
Welcome back. Hawaii is feeling the downpour from tropical storm Olivia. That storm reached the island of Maui this morning and is bringing heavy rain with it. 17's Kristen Price has been in Hawaii this week and has the story tonight from Kauai.
Well, good afternoon. I am here in Kauai. I am working alongside our sister station. That's why I am wearing this hat. I'm sure it's a little bit confusing to viewers, but don't worry. I haven't left Bakersfield, just here reporting on this storm. I would take the hat off, except you don't want me to. So here in Kauai, we are not seeing too much of the effects from this storm, but it's a very different story in other areas of the state. Maui County especially seeing the heavy effects of this storm. Across Maui County, winds are sustained at 45 miles per hour. The storm made landfall twice so far, once in Maui and once in neighboring Lanai. And it is now moving away from the state and is expected to mostly clear the islands tonight. There is still concern for flooding and high winds, so we will continue to keep an eye on that. Additionally, the Red Cross has deployed a couple of Bakersfield volunteers to the islands. The Red Cross has been working closely with the government officials to set up shelters and to help anyone who needs it during this storm. Back out here in Kauai, luckily we have missed the brunt of this storm. We still, for the most part, are seeing blue sky right now. We did have a little bit of rain, also some windy conditions, but that has cleared out for the most part. In Kauai, I'm Kristen Price for 17 News.
All right, most of Hawaii dodging a big bullet there. Time to go to Alyssa in the Pinpoint Weather Center.
Yes, and I've been in contact with Kristen as well as our photographer Rudy Garcia here, and within the past hour sending me an update of what they are seeing. And this is near Waimea, and as you can see, Rudy showing us the clouds there, and it's actually Waimea. I just mispronounced that, but the ports are beginning to reopen after being closed for about 2 days. So now we're watching as Olivia is working here to the west at 20 miles per hour. It's actually picking up speed, and the winds are dying down a bit, so now it'll continue in the open water. So the threat is gone, and that is good news for both of them as they will be heading back here to the States. Meanwhile, as we head over into the Atlantic, still watching for Florence, and this has actually decreased a little bit in intensity, but it's still a strong storm. It's still a major hurricane at Category 3, and winds are at 115 miles per hour. Now we're looking at a landfall making its way here just south of Jacksonville, North Carolina, but this is still the Koneman uncertainty, and anything could change. It could actually work down into South Carolina, and today we're looking at more rain also in South Carolina too. So North Carolina will be in the right-hand quadrant of that system. So Greenville, North Carolina, Raleigh could still see a foot of rain or more, but it's also looking like South Carolina will really see a lot of the action as well. So Friday will be a day here that we'll be watching that one for sure. Thursday night into Friday for a potential landfall with Florence. 91 degrees in Bakersfield. We are back in the 90s. I was hoping for 80s today. That did not happen. Did you see that humidity value? 11%. That is it. We knew it was going to be a high fire danger day, and indeed that is exactly what it is. We started out at 64. We made it up to 92. Normal high on this day 91, so it's pretty seasonal. We do have the upper level system that's going to continue to work on in here, and the next few days will be a little bit cooler. So in the upper levels, here comes that cool air working on through, and then into the weekend, still looking for temperatures in the 80s, looking nice. Next week, we'll warm up into the lower 90s. Moderate air quality at 61. Another update to that 7-day forecast, and I think you're going to like it just in time for the Kern County Fair, when yesterday I was forecasting 96 for opening day. Today, 91. And overnight lows will be into the 50s before you know it here in Bakersfield. So a couple more nights. Friday night football should be nice. In the mountains, we have low to mid 70s, lower 80s next week. Lows will be into the lower 50s. And in the Kern River Valley, low to mid 80s. And then next week, lower 90s with lows in the 50s. So it keeps getting better and better.
Yeah, that's more like it.
Yes.
It's been a long time coming, though.
I know. Looks good.
All right, thanks a lot.
Outrunning a hurricane, the window of opportunity is closing. We'll take you to the East Coast as millions of people in the Carolinas are bracing for Hurricane Florence.
And the White House and FEMA both insisting they're prepared to respond to that hurricane despite their critics. That story just ahead after the break. We're back now with news making headlines around the nation. Is the Trump administration ready for Hurricane Florence? President Trump says absolutely. And he's defending his performance during last year's hurricane season. NBC's Blaine Alexander has our report tonight from Washington.
President Trump tweeting assurances ahead of Hurricane Florence.
We're fully prepared, food, medical, everything you can imagine.
Ready to fight the storm and fight criticism that his administration mishandled its response to Hurricane Maria last year, which left nearly 3,000 people dead in Puerto Rico.
I think that Puerto Rico was an incredible, unsung success.
The president calling Puerto Rico an unappreciated great job, despite, quote, a totally incompetent mayor of San Juan. That mayor calling the president's position despicable.
I really don't know where the president gets the nerve to call this a success story.
Now, another wave of criticism after documents show the Trump administration moved nearly $10 million from FEMA's budget to help fund border enforcement. Those documents released by Democratic Senator Jeff Merkley.
Those certainly are very relevant to preparing for and responding to disasters.
But FEMA says that money was for administrative purposes, never for disaster relief.
That money has nothing to do with what you see behind us. It does not pay for this response. It is not coming out of the disaster relief fund.
Both sides accusing the other of playing politics with Florence fast approaching. And President Trump is giving frequent updates on Twitter. He's urging everyone in evacuation zones to get out and listen to local authorities. Blaine Alexander, NBC News, Washington.
The president today signed an executive order laying out a process to sanction countries that meddle in U.S. elections. The order directs intelligence agencies to judge whether foreigners are interfering, which includes hacking and spreading propaganda. If the threat is deemed credible, the Treasury and State Departments will draw up sanctions for the president's approval. The Trump administration facing a new lawsuit tonight as migrant advocates push back against a plan to deport thousands. Why they say the decision is a matter of life and death. Ahead at 5:30.
And not enough Americans are cutting sugar and carbs from their diets. The story behind alarming new obesity rates coming up in tonight's 17 Health Watch.
We We are back with your 17 Health Watch. Federal regulators say way too many teens are vaping. The Food and Drug Administration sent 1,300 warning letters recently to stores that sell e-cigarettes to teens. Most violations surrounded illegal sales of major brands. The FDA says vaping may help adults who want to quit smoking, but kids use them for their flavors and sleek designs. Manufacturers will have 2 months to give the FDA their plan to address the problem. Obesity rates have not improved anywhere in the United States, and in some areas they've actually gotten worse. A new report from the Trust for America's Health finds 7 states had obesity rates at or above 35%. That's an increase from 5 states the previous year. There hasn't been an improvement in the obesity rate in any state in recent years. Obesity levels are highest in Black and Latino communities, low-income and rural areas. A young athlete may not be alive today without the quick actions of a coach and a school resource officer. Rebecca Jeffrey reports tonight from Arkansas.
On the small White County Central campus, the excitement inside this gym usually involves athletes playing their hearts out. But 12-year-old Evan Jones played with more than his heart could handle.
It was a surreal and real life-changing experience to go through.
His basketball coach, Ryan Court, watched the 6th grader collapse during practice, hitting his head on the concrete and struggling to breathe.
Then it got real life-threatening at that point.
He called 911, and the school resource officer, Deputy David Reeves, was the first one there.
I wasn't expecting what I saw when I got here.
For 2 minutes, Evan didn't respond.
No pulse. No breathing.
That's when the deputy got the defibrillator, a life-saving device the men are trained on but never used.
You know, all we were thinking about, that's somebody's child.
A shock, and 2 rounds of CPR later, Evan came to.
I can't fake him enough.
He was taken to Unity Hospital in Searcy, then flown to Arkansas Children's, where doctors diagnosed him with hypertrophic cardiomyopathy.
I have a severe thickening in muscle around my heart, and it makes it hard for my heart to pump right.
While Evan won't be battling it out on the court again anytime soon, he's grateful for the team that helped him win the fight for his life.
If it wasn't them, I wouldn't be here.
Wow. Now, Evan went home recently after getting the equivalent of a pacemaker. He'll likely never play competitive sports again, but he says his favorite subject is science, and he may want to design new technology for people with his same heart condition. Jim?
Well, we've got another story of a quick rescue, and this time it's a family affair. How a father and son were thrust into action, saving a couple from their burning home just ahead at 5:30. But first, Hurricane Florence expected to make landfall with several southeastern states in harm's way. Another report from the strike zone after the break.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at 5:30.
Welcome back. New at 5:30. Hurricane Florence is bearing down on the Carolina coastline this hour as a mass evacuation continues from South Carolina to Virginia.
The Category 3 storm expected to make landfall over the weekend. And making matters worse, the storm is predicted to slow down and could batter parts of the coastline with hurricane conditions for 24 hours starting late tomorrow. Wendy Woolfolk is in Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina with the latest.
This is a mandatory evacuation.
The deadline to outrun Hurricane Florence quickly approaching.
It's really big and very dangerous. We just need to get out of the way.
After living through Hurricane Andrew, the Dunns are leaving their home of just 5 months.
Inanimate objects and material things can be replaced. People can't.
Joining the millions of residents from Virginia to the Carolinas getting out before she comes in.
Disaster is at the doorstep.
In less than 24 hours, this peaceful scene will be pummeled by Mother Nature's fury.
This is going to be, a Mike Tyson punch to the Carolina coast.
But there are residents all along the southeastern seaboard who've decided to stick it out.
We're getting our generator wired in. We've got quite a bit of gas. We're already stocked up on we have 2 fridges, so they're stocked up on food. We've got plenty of water.
Lines forming at hardware stores as shoppers stock up on essentials.
I'm not worried. I've got food. Now we've got a generator, and, we'll do the best that we can.
Shelters are filling. Mary Edsel traveling from out of town to be with her parents, all safe now inside.
Through good times and through bad, to be there for each other. That's what's important.
Whether heading for higher ground or staying put, time is running out ahead of Hurricane Florence. Florence may still be hours away, but once she arrives, it'll be a marathon, not a sprint. In Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina, Wendy Woolfolk, NBC News.
The local chapter of the American Red Cross says it has sent 14 people from the Central Valley, including Bakersfield and Tehachapi, to help states that will be hit by Florence. They left yesterday and today.
Other news making national headlines tonight. Oral arguments today in a trial against the Trump administration. It's over TPS protections for migrants from El Salvador. Washington correspondent Alexandra Limon reports tonight that plaintiffs in this case claim the move is racially motivated.
I am 22 years living in this country.
Elena Aguilar is from El Salvador. She lives in Pennsylvania and is a small business owner. But she faces the possibility of deportation because the Trump administration is ending temporary protective status for Salvadorans next year.
In El Salvador, you cannot start a business without a permit from the criminal people.
Aguilar says gangs like MS-13 extort business owners and ordinary citizens in El Salvador.
Or you give them the money, or you can, get killed or the family.
The organization CASA is suing to stop the Trump administration from ending TPS for Salvadorans, which would affect 195,000 people currently in the U.S., plus their U.S.-born children. This was the first day of oral arguments. A spokesperson for DHS said the agency doesn't comment on pending litigation, but in January, Secretary Nielsen said TPS for Salvadorans was ending because conditions in that country have improved and because disruptions for living conditions caused by the 2001 earthquakes no longer exist. The lawsuit argues ending TPS is unconstitutional and discriminatory.
Our complaint identifies the racial and xenophobic animus that frequently animated Trump's campaign, took root in the White House, and revealed itself in the Oval Office.
But the U.S. Supreme Court ruled against similar arguments when it upheld the so-called travel ban. In Washington, Alexandra Limon, 17 News.
The Environmental Protection Agency is looking to roll back another Obama-era regulation. The EPA is proposing to change the rules on inspections and repairs for methane gas leaks. Right now, energy companies must inspect drilling equipment every 6 months. The new proposal would allow the inspections once a year or once every 2 years in some cases. It would also extend the deadline to repair leaks to 2 months. The EPA says it plans to hold at least one public hearing on the proposal. A painting stolen by the Nazis during World War II is finally back with the rightful owner's family. The painting is titled Two Women in a Garden by Pierre-Auguste Renoir. He painted it in 1919. Officials returned the painting to Sylvie Solitzer in a ceremony in New York. She's the last living heir of the man who originally owned it. The Nazis stole it from his bank vault in Paris back in 1941. The painting resurfaced in the 1970s and was eventually sold at a private auction in 2013. That's when the FBI got involved and finally got it back to the family.
Well, they were in the right place at the right time. A father and son on a late-night snack run got the feeling that something wasn't quite right at a nearby home. Mara McDonald has more.
I want to show you something. Take a look. You can see that the damage here is extensive, but the people in this house did get out alive because, and I'm not kidding with this, the keto diet. You see, Reggie Calhoun and his son Devin were out Monday night looking for a snack because Devin's mom is on the keto diet. He didn't want any of her diet food.
We got flames through the roof, the whole garage is going. It looks like the upper floors are going, front doors open.
When firefighters got to the scene, the attached garage on this home on Hartwick was already a fireball, and the flames were spreading into the house. But the older couple who lives here was out on the lawn because of Reggie Calhoun and his son Devin.
We were on a mission going straight down 19 miles to go get something to eat. And we saw smoke. Well, it looked like the clouds were darker than normal.
Something told both men they needed to make sure everything was okay. It wasn't. When they drove up, the garage was on fire.
I was laying on the horn, and he hopped out of the car, and he ran up to the door, and he rang the doorbell and knocked a bunch of times, and nobody was coming to the door.
And the only thing left was just to start kicking at it. Once it started to kick and wedge, that's when the homeowner come down, and I was able to alert him, you know, because I'm sure it appeared as though he was sleeping, and alert him, you know, your house is on fire.
While Reggie was getting them out, Devin, just honorably discharged from the Navy on Friday, was on the phone with 911. Sterling Heights firefighters were on the scene in a minute and managed to save the house.
Second floor, let's go.
Sterling Heights rocks. They came out, they clicked in and saved both the properties next door.
Firefighters say the house had working smoke detectors, but the garage didn't. That's why the alarm wasn't going off inside.
It's all a blessing. We're angels. Everyone's got an angel, and it was just the right time for us to be there. Someone was definitely praying over this family, because without my wife's keto diet, without my son's hunger, we wouldn't have been in the right place at the right time.
Wow.
Mara McDonald reporting.
Got to give the keto diet and the hunger some credit, huh?
Good timing there.
Yeah. Well, Apple has done it again with bigger gadgets and bigger price tags.
We'll take a look at the new phones they rolled out today. Coming up at tonight's Business Watch.
And we continue to be on hurricane watch. I'm going to have the latest on the tropics next in Pinpoint Weather.
Back checking out the local forecast, and also Alyssa's keeping an eye on Hurricane Florence.
Yeah, this is a live look right now from GOES 16 satellite, and wow, this is still certainly a magnificent storm, even though it has decreased a little bit in intensity. We're still talking about a Category 3 hurricane. The eye feature not quite as prominent as it was earlier. Winds at 115 miles per hour, and we're starting to see again some of those waves picking up as we near the Carolina coastline of North Carolina. Let's double back though and first get one more look at Olivia, and that made 2 landfalls this morning near Hawaii, and of course in Hawaii. That was just a tropical storm. First landfall was Maui, the second one Lanai, and then of course now that is weakening and is moving southwest of Oahu. So pretty much the last of Olivia working on through, and other than a little bit of light rain still there, that's done. Now the tropics still very active, and as compared to yesterday, we've added a few more to the fold. Now we're looking at Joyce, that subtropical. That'll head off east. Helene will make its way east as well. We're not worried about those two. Isaac will make its way towards the Lesser Antilles as a tropical storm. So by Friday, we could see some action there. And then, of course, all eyes on Florence. And here is that major hurricane. So you can start to see within the last few frames there some of the rain from the outer bands coming into view on the radar imagery. So we'll be watching that. North Carolina, of course, everyone's evacuating. South Carolina as well, especially along the coastline. And the spaghetti models tonight showing landfall near Wilmington, most likely, maybe as far north there as Jacksonville. It's looking like things are really shifting more and more to the south, more towards South Carolina now. There's Myrtle Beach. And even after landfall, we're now worried that this is going to continue to just kind of sit and spin right near the coastline and right inland, and that would dump a lot of rain as we head into the Carolinas, both North Carolina and now South Carolina, especially South Carolina now as we head into Friday and Saturday. So probably a Category 3 when it makes landfall. It's weakened a little bit, and it's going to continue to be a Category 3 most likely when it does make its way toward the Carolina coastline sometime Friday. As we take a look at the winds, yes, those of course will be a concern, upwards of 50-60 miles per hour, mainly along the coastline. And then also the rain, upwards of 1.5 feet or more. And now this area of yellow really expanding here, not just for North Carolina, but into South Carolina as well. And we're looking there at upwards of 1.5, maybe 2 feet of rain in some areas, especially along the coast. So that's going to be very interesting as we head into the end of the work week and weekend. Right now, 91 in Bakersfield, 11% humidity. Our dew point is very low. We still have a high fire danger. Also looking at red flag conditions in these boxes to the north of us, as well as in the mountains to the north and over into Nevada. So the atmosphere is really dried out. The winds have shifted, and that, of course, that westerly wind there has kind of overall increased the pressure gradient with gusty winds and dried out the atmosphere. Looking at 70s tomorrow from Sacramento to Stockton. We just continue to cool down with this trough. 85 in Fresno, 70s along the Central Coast, and then still 91 in Santa Clarita, 81 in LA, 79 in San Diego. Moderate air quality at 61. Pinpoint forecast calls for lower 80s to mid 80s for the weekend. Next week heating up by Tuesday and Wednesday, but still not too bad. Lows will be near 60. In the mountains, mid 70s, lower 80s Monday and beyond. Lows in the lower 50s. And in the Kern River Valley, low to mid 80s, lower 90s next week with lows in the upper 50s. The weather snapshot tonight. Ooh, shows this gorgeous shot from Debbie Gleason out of Kern County. That looks like a painting. That is awesome. I know I say that a lot, but look at those clouds.
That is amazing.
That is just gorgeous. Thank you, Debbie. If you have a snapshot, snapshots at KGET.com.
Wow.
Yeah.
And a pink sunset behind that all. Gorgeous.
Really neat.
All right, thanks a lot. Closing numbers from the trading day on Wall Street just ahead.
But first, let's check in with Nick. He has a preview of sports.
Thank you, Tammy. Well, what former athlete is talking about running for president? I'll tell you about that on the other side of the break. And former VHS driller Miguel Contreras scrapping again soon. I'll tell you when after the break. Sit tight. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Hope everyone had a wonderful Wednesday afternoon. Boxing time at Bakersfield at Strambler Park on Saturday, September 29th, so that's 2 weeks. Beat the Streets former VHS driller and Police Activities League product. Miguel Contreras is the featured night of the boxing match of the night, 2 weeks from Saturday. As I said, Contreras, and now a pro. And in April, when I saw him last at the Battle of the Badges, he was 4-0 at the time. At that point in his career, Nancy Preciado caught up with the former driller and his trainer.
Just the opportunity to main event my own home city, you know, born and raised here. It's just an extreme blessing to be able to main event here. And I think that most of all is just so humbling.
Whole different fighter than when I met him about 2 years ago. He's sharper, he's stronger, he's faster, he's smarter, he's motivated. I see a lot of passion and hunger in his eyes.
And again, that's September 29th at Strambler Park. Fights start at 6 o'clock. General admission will be $35. Ringside will be $60. Well, staying with the whole boxing theme, talk about a politician who would know how to roll with the punches, the golden boy. According to USA Today, Oscar De La Hoya says he's planning to run for president in 2020. De La Hoya made the announcement in Las Vegas where he's promoting an upcoming boxing match. The 45-year-old Olympic champ says he'll run as a Democrat. However, if he actually throws the hat in the political ring, his personal life will likely be a factor. De La Hoya has been well-publicized problems with drugs and alcohol and has spent time in rehab. Going over to the afternoon baseball now. Dodgers at Cincinnati today taking on Billy Hamilton and the Reds. Yasmani Grandal and Hamilton both played for the Blaze. Grandal smacks it deep to right center field to the gap. It's gone. Or is it? We're going to go review it. Fan interference. So he's ruled to go back to second with a double. He went 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs. Dodgers won today 8-1, just 1 game back of the Rockies in the National League West. NFL now, not sure that anybody really thought Steelers star running back Le'Veon Bell would sit out last week and forfeit $853,000. Well, he did, and he's not even listed on the Steelers depth chart this week for their home opener. They're going to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Bell has not reported to the Steelers facility, and they host KC, and they beat up on the Bolts at StubHub on Sunday. Bell does not want to play under the 1-year tender for $14.5 million that the Steelers have on the table. Pittsburgh tied the Cleveland Browns last week at 21 apiece. And speaking of the Chiefs, as I said, they beat the Bolts down in StubHub last Sunday, 38-28. Steelers will have their hands full. That young man right there, Tyreek Hill, went bonkers. 91-yard punt return to start the game. And then just 2 minutes into the game, I should say, then he tallied 7 grabs for $169, 2 more touchdowns for the Cheetah. That's what they call him. He's a demon. You can't stop. You can't coach speed, as Jim Scott will tell you. You can't coach speed, and he's just fast, and he's just gone. And that game will be at Heinz Field at 10 o'clock on Sunday morning. KC and Pitt. Yeah, good game.
Speed is a gift.
Gift. Can't coach
from God.
Just keep on.
All right. Thanks. So, is it time for a new iPhone, or are you going to give it a pass?
Either way, we have details on Apple's latest gadget coming up next in your 17 Business Watch.
Welcome Welcome back. 17 Business Watch tonight. Stocks having a mixed day on Wall Street today. Dow Jones Industrial Average added 27 points to close at 25,998. The Nasdaq down 18 points, and the S&P 500 up just about a point in trading today. Meantime, checking oil prices. West Texas Intermediate benchmark crude down 16 cents a barrel, closing at $70.12 a barrel. And our local blend Midway Sunset crude surging $1.12 on its barrel price, finishing the day at $73.28. Porsche is making it easier for people to get behind the wheel of its vehicles at a price. Porsche Drive, new promotional deal, is launched in Atlanta this week. It offers hourly to weekly rentals of brand new Porsches. The cars are fully insured and they will be delivered to you with a full tank of gas. Prices range from $269 for 4 hours to a little more than $2,900 for a week. Closer to us, a second pilot program is launching in Los Angeles and San Francisco next month. That program allows customers to put their own Porsches up for rent online as well. Happy driving. As big businesses move away from plastic straws, one startup asks, how about metal? The so-called Final Straw is a foldable, reusable straw in the works by an anti-plastic activist, Emma Cohen. So far, the project has raised nearly $2 million from crowdfunding Kickstarter. Cohen expects to get Final Straw into stores nationwide by early 2019. Apple has released its latest toys and gadgets. The world's largest company is poised to add to its bottom line with new iPhones ranging from top dollar to slightly more budget conscious. Raphael Seth has a look.
Now let's talk about iPhone.
Apple introduced 3 new phones today, including one that may not fit in your pocket.
The biggest screen ever in an iPhone.
The iPhone XS Max features a 6.5-inch display. The company also gave it a small-screened little brother called the iPhone XS. Both devices have revved-up processing power and upgraded cameras. Prices start at $1,000.
We are very excited to show you one more iPhone.
But the big buzz comes from a Goldilocks phone, a device the tech company hopes is just right.
iPhone XR will allow us to deliver the future of the smartphone to even more people.
The iPhone XR has a larger screen than last year's original 10, but the main feature is a smaller price tag, around $750.
Apple pulled off a trick here, making us feel like a $749 phone is actually cheap. That is still expensive, even by iPhone standards.
It has a different camera, but the same Face ID as the other phones, and comes dressed in a more colorful wardrobe.
Blue, coral.
Also released today, the next generation Apple Watch with electrocardiogram technology to record your heart's rhythm.
Over the years, it seems that they have focused in on health as the real core use case for the Apple Watch.
Part of an array of products designed to pull at any techie's heartstrings. Raphael Seth, NBC News.
And a footnote here, the iPhone XS and XS Max will be available come September 21st. The colorful XR iPhone will come out about a month later.
At least 50 acres have burned after a van caught fire at the base of the Grapevine.
We've got an update just ahead on the fire they're calling the water fire that has left one firefighter injured. Details new and next at 6 o'clock.